We looked at one example of how biosphere affected the atmosphere. We saw that when photosynthesis became very abundant and vascular plants evolved in large numbers, the concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere was set to be where it is now, about 20%. And the other good example I will show here is how vegetation also has affected the structure of the atmosphere itself. So, here we are looking at the wind speed on the horizontal axis and so called boundary layer of the planet in the vertical axis. Boundary layer is essentially where the winds are slowly decreasing. In the upper free atmosphere, it will be very fast. As you come closer to the boundary or near the surface, because of the friction and so on, the winds begin to decelerate. That is where a lot of the mixing happens. Pollution can either mixed up and taken away or can be capped if there is no mixing and so on and so forth. So, you can imagine that the photosynthetic algae that were in the water, they evolved in the ocean as best as we know. As the sea level changed or because of the winds, some of the algae got thrown on land. Those that survived began to evolve on land. They had to compete for sunlight and so on. So, they began to evolve to build hard structures so that they could stand up. But as vegetation began to grow and affect the friction on land, the wind itself also has to respond to that. So, the plants that then evolved to either release pollen or have seeds be taken away by winds and so on, also had to respond to the change in the winds. So, they again grew taller. So, there is a competition between plants to grow taller to reach the sunlight, and there is a response of the plants themselves to how the atmosphere is changing because of the vegetation itself. So, you can imagine that over long periods of time from the Silurian, Ordovician and so on, when the plants began to evolve, the planetary structure, the planetary boundary layer has evolved over time. So, what we see now is basically a response to a large scale distribution of tropical forests, rainforests, temperate forests, boreal forests, tundra and so on. And now with climate change, we are increasing carbon dioxide, we are changing temperature, so the winds are changing. And now how will the vegetation respond? Because rainfall distribution will change, humidity levels will change and so on. So, there is this feedback that is always going on between plants and climate on this scale of the boundary layer. Okay. There are other aspects where the plants also change the reflectivity or the energy balance, but you can see that there are many aspects in which the biosphere and the climate are interacting with each other.